The Perks of Being a Wallflower, PDF version, pages 30 through 33. November 15th, 1991. Dear friend, it's starting to get cold and frosty here. The pretty fall weather is pretty much gone. The good news is that we're having holidays coming up, which I love, especially now because my brother will be coming home soon, maybe even for Thanksgiving. At least I hope he does for my mom. My brother hasn't called me in a few weeks now, and my mom just kept talking about his grades and his sleeping habits and the food he eats. My dad keeps saying the same thing. He's not going to get injured. Personally, I like to think my brother is having a college experience like they do in the movies. I don't mean the big fraternity party kind of movie. More like the movie where the guy meets a smart girl who wears a lot of sweaters and drinks cocoa. They talk about books and issues and kiss in the rain. I think something like that would be very good for him, especially if the girl were unconventionally beautiful. They are the best kind of girls, I think. Personally, I find supermodels strange. I don't know why this is. My brother, on the other hand, has posters of supermodels and cars and beer and things like that on the walls in his room. I suppose if you add a dirty floor, it's probably what his dorm room looks like. My brother always hated making his bed, but he kept his clothes closet very organized, go figure. The thing is, when my brother does call home, he doesn't say a lot. He talks about his classes a little, but mostly he talks about the football team. There's a lot of attention on the team because they are very good and they have some very big players. My brother said that one of the guys will probably be a millionaire someday, but that he's dumb as a post. I guess that's pretty dumb. My brother told me this one story where the whole team was sitting around the locker room talking about all the stuff they had to do to get into college football. They finally got around to talking about SAT scores, which I have never taken. And this guy said, I got a 710. And my brother said, math or verbal? And the guy said, huh? And the whole team laughed. I always wanted to be on a sports team like that. I'm not exactly sure why, but I always thought it'd be fun to have glory days. Then I would have stories to tell my children and golf buddies. I guess I could tell people about punk Rocky and walking home from school and things like that. Maybe these are my glory days and I'm not even realizing it because they don't involve a ball. I used to play sports when I was very little and I was actually very good. But the problem was that it used to make me too aggressive. So the doctors told my mom I would have to stop. My dad had glory days once. I've seen pictures of him when he was young. He was a very handsome man. I don't know how to put it any other way. He looked like all old pictures do. Very rugged and young. And people in photographs always seem a lot happier than they are. My mother looks beautiful in old pictures. She actually looks more beautiful than anyone except maybe Sam. Sometimes I look at my parents now and I wonder what happened to make them the way they are. And then I wonder what will happen when my sister and her boyfriend graduate from law school, and what my brother's face will look like on a football card, or what it will look like if it's never on a football card. My dad played college baseball for 2 years, but he had to stop when my mom got pregnant with my brother. That's when he started working at the office. I honestly don't know what my dad does. He tells a story sometimes. It's a great story. It has to do with state championship for baseball when he was in high school. I was in the bottom of the 9th inning and there was a runner on first. There were 2 outs and my dad's team was behind by 1 run. My dad was younger than most of the varsity team because he was only a sophomore, and I think the team thought he was going to blow the game. He had all this pressure on him and he was really nervous and really scared. But after a few pitches, he said he started feeling in the zone. When the pitcher wound up and threw the next ball, he knew exactly where that ball was going to be. He hit it harder than any ball he ever hit in his whole life, and he made a home run, and his whole team won the state championship. The greatest thing about this story is that every time my dad tells it, it never changes. He's not one to exaggerate. I think about all this sometimes when I'm watching a football game with Patrick and Sam. I look at the field and I think about the boy who just made the touchdown. I think that these are the glory days for that boy. And this moment will be another story someday because all the people who make touchdowns and home runs will become somebody's dad. And when his children look at his yearbook photograph, they will think their dad was rugged and handsome and looked a lot happier than they are. I just hope to tell my kids that they are as happy as I look in my old photographs. And I hope that they always believe me. Love always, Charlie. November 18th, 1991. Dear friend. My brother finally called yesterday, and he can't make it home for any part of Thanksgiving weekend because he's behind on schoolwork because of football. My mom was so upset that she took me shopping for new clothes. I know you think what I'm about to write is an exaggeration, but I promise you that it isn't. From the time we got into the car to the time we came home, my mom literally did not stop talking, not once, not even when I was in the dressing room trying on slacks. She just stood outside the dressing room and worried out loud. The things she said went all over the place. First, it was that my dad should have insisted that my brother come home if only for an afternoon. Then it was that my sister had better start thinking more about her future and start applying to safety schools in case the good ones don't work out. And then she started saying that gray was a good color for me. I understand how my mom thinks, I really do. It's like when we were little and we'd go to the grocery store and my sister and brother would fight about things that my sister and brother would fight about. And I would sit at the bottom of the shopping cart and my mom would be so upset by the end of the shopping that she would push the cart fast and I would feel like I was in a submarine. Yesterday was like that, except now I get to sit in the front seat. When I saw Sam and Patrick at school today, they both agreed that my mom has very good taste in clothing. I told my mom this when I got home from school and she smiled. She asked me if I wanted to invite Sam and Patrick over for dinner sometime after the holidays are over because my mom gets nervous enough as it is during the holidays. I called Sam and Patrick and they said they would. I'm really excited. The last time I had a friend over to dinner was Michael last year. We had tacos. The really great part was that Michael stayed overnight. We ended up sleeping very little, but we mostly just talked about things like girls and movies and music. The one part I remember distinctly was walking around the neighborhood at night. My parents were asleep along with the rest of the houses. Michael looked in all the windows. It was dark and quiet. He said, "Do you think those people are nice?" I said, "The Andersons? Yeah, they're old." "What about those people?" "Well, Mrs. Lambert doesn't like baseballs going in her yard." "What about those people?" "Mrs. Tanner has been visiting her mother for 3 months. Mr. Tanner spends his weekends sitting on the back porch listening to baseball games." "I don't really know if they're nice or not because they don't have any children." "Is she sick?" "Is who sick?" "Mrs. Tanner's mother." "I don't think so. My mom would know, and she didn't say anything." Michael nodded. "They're getting a divorce." "You think so?" "Uh-huh." We kept walking. Michael has a way of walking quiet sometimes. I guess I should mention that my mom heard that Michael's parents are divorced now. She said that only 70% of marriages stay together when they lose a child. I think she read it in a magazine somewhere. Love always, Charlie.